Do not get stuck in the ego trap. Pixar's Soul is a movie with a lot of messages, but the message I want to highlight can help you stop those feelings of always wondering when it's going to be your turn. That feeling like you have to chase after and fight for your happiness, and that you have to go above and beyond to prove yourself. I'm Kayla, and this is my series, Movies with a Message. Joe obsessively chasing his dreams and 22 searching for her spark and then becoming a lost soul is symbolic of a super common ego trap. One that both you and I can easily fall into. And that is the trap of feeling that you are not enough. Lucky for us, Soul gives us the answers on how to pull ourselves out. So let's break it down. As a part-time middle school band teacher, Joe Gardner feels conflicted when they offer him a full-time position. Something inside of him still feels unfulfilled, although it's a solid offer with health insurance and a pension. Something his mom makes sure he knows. But Joe's conflicted because he believes he was born to perform, not teach. Then at his mother's shop, he gets the call of his dreams. His old student, Curly, offers him an opportunity to audition for the Dorothea Williams Quartet. Joe says he would die a happy man if he could perform with Dorothea Williams. If you watched the video I made on Eat, Pray, Love, I talked about how the character Liz was living with too much ego, which can cause you to chase physical things in order to solve your emotional problems, as well as not being able to enjoy the moment. And I see similar themes in Joe. The ego itself has a foundation in lack because it's what separates the idea of you from the outside world. But this causes the ego to always search for what it's missing, therefore giving you that feeling that I am not enough. I'm not rich enough, I don't know enough, I don't have enough. But what's one of the most telling signs we're stuck in the ego trap? Well, the world will simply mirror it back to us. Very similar to this scene in the movie.
I'll bet. Glad you made it. My boy Bishop said he sat in with you on a set last year in Brooklyn. Said you were great.
Well, for a coffee shop.
Joe is Ray Gardner's son.
So, we're down to middle school band teachers now. Get on up here, Teach. We ain't got all day.
After that, Joe takes the stage and improvises. He starts out unsure but quickly falls into his flow state, which is a state of egolessness. And as they mention later, places you in between the physical and the spiritual. Playing from this state impresses everyone and Joe gets the part. He's euphoric and immediately calls and says, "Forget that school, I've upgraded." And then he rushes home to prepare for the performance of a lifetime, but accidentally falls into a manhole where his soul then leaves his body. But Joe's not convinced it's his time to go, especially not when his life just started. So he fights back and he accidentally falls into the Great Before, which they've renamed the U Seminar. And it's where new souls gain their personality before they incarnate on Earth. My favorite scene is that one where the soul's like, "I'm a megalomaniac." What does he say?
"I'm a manipulative megalomaniac who's intensely opportunistic."
Oh, this one might be a handful. I bet that's Earth's problem.
So Joe's desperate to get back to Earth so that he can finally live. So he devises a plan that he's going to impersonate a mentor, help a soul get their Earth pass, and then use it to go back to his body, where he's then assigned to soul number 22 as Bjorn Borgensen. 22 is an unborn soul who's been at the U Seminar for thousands of years and has yet to find her spark. She doesn't get the hype around Earth. So Joe and 22 strike a deal. In this process, both Joe and 22 are thrown into the life of Dr. Borgensen. And hear me out. That, along with 22 talking about all her distinguished past mentors, feeds Joe's ego. And because your ego has a need to prove itself, Joe looks back on the memories of his life through this egoic lens and feels disappointed. Because what's his ego trying to prove? How he became a jazz musician.
That's not what we're looking for.
Wait. That's not how I remember
and this
it going
intrigues
down.
22 because she's looking at this unaccomplished person like, what makes them want to go back to Earth so bad? So she takes him to the astral plane where they witness lost souls and people in the flow state. And the astral travelers help him remote view to jump back into his body. But Joe rushes it, and both he and 22 fall through. Joe wakes up in the hospital to discover that he fell into a cat's body, while 22 is sitting in his, where Joe is forced to become the observer. He's no longer driving his actions directly through his ego. To release yourself from the ego trap, the first step is to learn how to observe your ego and not just experience it. Joe can no longer be impulsive or prone to his old habits. He's an outsider observing his thoughts and what's happening in his brain, as we learn from the elevator scene and this scene from the subway station.
Mom doesn't know anything about the gig, and I want to keep it that way, okay?
Right, because she thinks you're a failure.
What?
I didn't say that. You did. Up here.
Look, my mom has her own definition.
By the time Joe and 22 make it to his mother's shop, he's detached enough from his ego to be vulnerable with her, something the ego usually doesn't allow. He says out loud the thing that people are afraid to say, that his driving factor is fear.
I'm just afraid that if I died today, that my life would have amounted to nothing.
Joey.
But as the strength of Joe's ego lessens, 22's grows stronger, as we can tell by this scene.
Now.
No. I'm in the chair.
22!
That's her saying, I'm the boss. But Terry catches them and Joe and 22 end up back in the grate before. But they realize 22's earned her Earth pass. But Joe, angry that he's missed out on living again, angrily yells at 22 and tells her that she has no purpose, which causes 22 to angrily give him her Earth pass and then disappears. Joe returns to Earth just in time to play with Dorothea Williams. He plays his heart out and experiences the moment of happiness he's been waiting for. He's played with Dorothea Williams. He's finally proven that he is a jazz musician. And according to what he said in the beginning, he should be able to die a happy man. Being stuck in the ego trap leads to a continuous cycle of dissatisfaction. Because once you've proven yourself and protected and perfected your self-image, have you ever considered what happens after? What happens after you achieve what you thought would bring you lasting happiness? Well, you immediately look for the next thing. That sucks. Gosh, that sucks. You'll always find more to prove, more to chase after, more to desire. But once you hit it, your ego will always hit you with the now what? Step out of the grip this cycle has on you. You have to learn how to cultivate something that Eckhart Tolle calls presence. He describes it as when you're no longer waiting for the next moment, believing that the next moment will be more fulfilling than this one. In the movie, Joe has an epiphany and realizes that it was 22 who taught him this. And he's able to look back on those same memories he once called meaningless in a different light. Joe re-enters the zone to find 22 and realizes she's become a lost soul. Lost souls become lost souls because they're obsessed with something that disconnects them from life. Like the hedge fund manager the astral traveler saved early on. In 22's case, she's obsessed with old narratives that caused her past pain. Eckhart Tolle talks about a concept called the pain body, which is old emotional pain that wasn't acknowledged the moment it happened. It is a byproduct of your ego, and it lies dormant until it's activated by triggers outside of you. And once it's activated, it's really easy for you to identify with it, causing you to believe the narratives and negative thought patterns it holds. So how do you stop identifying with your pain body? Well, the movie and Eckhart Tolle give us the same answer. You dissolve your pain body with the power of your presence. In the movie Soul, Joe places the seedling in 22's hand, and it brings us back to the moment we watch 22 embody her presence. We watch her sit with the pain of not feeling good enough to go to Earth because she doesn't know what her purpose is. And Joe, with his newfound alignment, tells 22 that her spark is not her purpose, and that her Earth pass being filled in means she's ready to go to Earth right now. There's nothing left for her to search for. As a result, 22's pain body dissolves and she finally incarnates on Earth. And you can also see that Joe successfully stepped out of the ego trap. He's reached a state of complete acceptance as we watch him head towards the great beyond, when one of the Jerrys shows up and offers him a chance to go back to Earth. They even ask him, "What do you think you'll do?" And Joe can't answer because he's no longer chasing. he's living. Okay, tell me how you liked this one. If you liked this one, you'll love the one I did about Pixar's Inside Out. It's all about ego death. Okay, love you. And as always, I'm sending love and healing your way. Bye.